I missed the word. I'd like to call the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of Leesburg to order. It's January 23rd, 2025, 4:30. Please stand for the invocation and pledge the flag.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, as we undertake the business of the City of Leesburg, we pray that the decisions we make will be pleasing in your sight. We pray this in thy most holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Ken. Okay. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 19, 2024 meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, there's a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay.
If you had time to review them, then you can vote nay. Thank you.
Nay.
Okay, we got that figured out. Let's go ahead and swear everybody in. I like to get that right away. If you're going to speak tonight at all, whether it's your case or if you're a neighbor or whatever, please stand to be sworn in. You cannot talk or speak if you're not sworn in. Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dano, you had the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to welcome everyone to the January 23, 2025 City of Leesburg Planning Commission meeting. My name is Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning Director for the City of Leesburg. Staff present today from the Planning and Zoning Department includes Executive Assistant Sabrina Mitchell to my left, Deputy Director Candy Harper, and Planner Melissa Metters on the first and second row, and over here on the computer, Melissa Metters de Los Santos, and over here on the computer, Diane Yeckel. We also have City Attorney Jennifer Koch seated to my right. Today's agenda and the speaker's registry is available on the table by the exit door. If you'd like to speak on a case, we'd ask that you would please sign the speaker's registry and turn it in to Sabrina here on my left. Under the rules of participation, the meeting will be conducted under the following process. The chairman will announce the case. The staff will then present exhibits for the record. This will include maps, photos, and text as shown on the screens. The staff will then give the background and descriptive information and then provide a recommendation on the case. The applicant will have the opportunity to speak on the case, and the public will have time for public comments. The applicant will have an opportunity for rebuttal, and the chairman will then close the case to the public, and the commission will discuss the case and take a vote. At that point, they'll then move on to the next case. The Planning Commission consists of citizens, volunteer citizens who are appointed by the City Commission, and they're charged with two major responsibilities. The first is to make final decisions on cases such as variances and conditional uses, and the second is to make recommendations for issues which are to be heard by the City Commission. We have two cases on today's agenda. The first case, Lee School, is a recommendation. That will be forwarded to the City Commission for a final decision to approve or deny. So that one goes to City Commission. The next case, the second case, is the Montclair Road triplex case. That will be a final decision because it is a conditional use permit. For any City Commission meetings, you'll find the proposed dates on the agenda listed in bold under the case title. Please be advised that those case times or dates are subject to be changed as needed by the commission. So you can always check with our office, which is right across the street, or I can get one of our business cards and you can call us to check on that. Finally, on behalf of the City Planning Commission and the City Planning and Zoning staff, I'd like to thank you for your participation in today's public hearing process. Mr. Chairman, we're ready for the announcement of the first case.
Okey dokey. Public hearing case SPUD 24212, Lee School, small plan unit development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for a rezoning on the old Lee School property from SPUD to SPUD, which is small plan unit development with revised condition. The property consists of 5 plus or minus acres, is generally located north of Herndon Street, south of West Line Street, east of Perkins Street, and west of Lee Street. The request is for future development of a 102-unit multi-family apartment complex. I'd like to spend a minute or two on the background of this case to get everyone up to speed. I know you've seen it several times over the years. The Lee School was built in the 1910s and 1920s. There are two different dates on there. I forgot to get the exact dates, but it was over 100 years old. It was abandoned as a school sometime around the early 2000s. There were no developers interested in the property. We had, as a staff, we had some tire kickers, but nothing serious, so the property sat vacant. In 2015, the property was sold by the school board to an investor, and in 2016, that investor, under Ordinance 16-01, had the property rezoned. That zoning allowed assisted living, independent living, memory care, medical offices, etc. Unfortunately, no developers were found to be interested in the property. So in 2018, the property was sold to another investor, and in 2021, that investor rezoned the property under Ordinance 21-19, which allowed 49 townhomes and 14 apartment units. Again, there were no investors that were found to be interested in the property. So in 2024, the Leesburg Historic Board did vote to allow the properties to be demolished. Now, since being abandoned as a school use in the early 2000s, the buildings were empty, unfortunately, for all that time until 2024 when they were actually demolished. During the previous zonings and discussions with staff over these buildings and working with the City Commission, the Planning Commission, and the Historic Preservation Board, I know that everyone made every effort to preserve the buildings on the site for an adaptive reuse, but again, the problem was there were just no developers that were interested. So today, in 2025, the request before you is for an apartment complex to be considered for the site. Now, you may recall at our October 24th meeting that staff did present a proposal for an expansion of the downtown mixed-use future land use district. What we're trying to achieve on that is expanding the downtown mixed-use district from the core downtown, right as it sits now, basically Canal to Meadow and Ninth to Canal and, Magnolia to Meadow. Trying to expand it from the immediate current downtown area to cover northward toward the old railroad right-of-way, which is the Leesburg Wildwood Trail, eastward past Pine Street and portions of Rambo Street toward the hospital, and then south toward Dixie, and then back west. And that western movement would actually include this Lee School site. The purpose of that change is to expand investment opportunities for the areas in and adjacent to downtown. So that future land use change is key with this project. Deputy Director, So the City Commission, you've already seen that request for the future land use and did approve it unanimously after we expanded it to a larger area than what we had originally planned. If that land use is approved at the City Commission level and this project moves forward, then this will be the first of what we're hoping over time will be several more projects which will be supportive of downtown with different uses. And that would increase the investment levels into the core of downtown Leesburg. So at this point, I'd like to ask Deputy Director Candy Harper to present the maps and photo exhibits to include the aerial zoning, future and surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Commissioners, as you can see, this is the Lee School site. Several of you are very familiar with that site. Then the next map is a little bit closer aerial of the area. Gives you a little bit better feeling for Herndon and the roads around it, proximity to 441, and also the Leesburg Wildwood Trail, which is here. And the zoning currently is SPUD, and the SPUD you're looking at tonight will make changes to the current small planned unit development for the property. And the proposed zoning, as you can see, is small planned unit development. The future land use currently is low-density residential, and as Mr. Miller stated, that if the downtown mixed use is approved on Monday and it goes to the state and comes back without comment, that will have a different future land use on it by the time anything happens here. The land is high and dry. The surrounding land uses are residential to the north, including multifamily. To the west is residential, both occupied and vacant. To the south is residential, including multifamily. And to the east is residential, including multifamily, a place of worship, and residential. It sits just outside of two community redevelopment areas. That is the US 27-441 corridor, CRA, and Greater Leesburg. And it does sit within the Commission District number 4, but it abuts number 1. And it is within the historic district. Again, it's right there, kind of hard to see in that color. And this map, I believe, is actually from the downtown mixed use that's coming up on Monday. And that just shows you the proximity of the site to other areas in the city. And you'll notice it comes over and it picks up the school, Beacon College, in this area. And if you go by the trail, it's a short, pleasant walk to that campus. Just about anywhere in town, that's a short, pleasant walk. But if it were me, I'd be going downtown and stopping by to, have some lunch or something before I actually went to school. So that will show you where someone can get from that site to the outskirts. It covers quite a distance. And the site was posted. The picture on the top is looking north along Perkins Street from the subject property. And the picture on the bottom is looking north along Lee Street from the subject property. The picture on the top is looking east across Lee Street from the subject property, and that is the church. Picture on the bottom is looking south along Lee Street from the subject property. Picture on the top is looking west along Lee Street onto the subject property. Picture on the bottom is looking north onto the subject property from Herndon. Picture on the top is looking east along Herndon from the subject property. Picture on the bottom is looking south across Herndon Street from the subject property. Picture on the top is looking west along Herndon Street from the subject property, and the picture on the bottom is looking north across West Line Street from the subject property. Picture on the top is looking east along West Line Street from the subject property, and the picture on the bottom is looking south across West Line Street onto the subject property. Picture on the top is looking west along West Line Street from the subject property, and the picture on the bottom is looking north along Perkins Street from the subject property. And the picture on the top is looking east along Perkins Street onto the subject property, and the picture on the bottom is looking south along Perkins Street from the subject property. And finally, this picture is looking west across Perkins Street from the subject property. And that's all I have, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Ms. Harper. With that, we'd like to move on to the departmental review summary. The project was sent out to all city departments, plus Lake County government and the school board. The city had no substantive comments. Nothing came back from the city departments. School board project, their comments came back that the project would be subject to school concurrency review and may be subject to a mitigation agreement to provide adequate stations within the school system. So there is, however, I want to bring up at this point, there is a possibility of some work with Beacon College on this project. And I think we have someone here from Beacon who may wish to address that. But in any case, the applicant still has to provide the adequate student stations, whether that's through the impact fees or a mitigation agreement. I believe they have talked to the school board at this time. Lake County Public Works had no comments, and per the Florida statute and City of Leesburg Code of Ordinances, the public was notified via newspaper advertisement, the sign posting, and letters sent out to the surrounding property owners. We have received no responses as of yesterday. I am aware that the applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting on the site. Moving on to the PUD requirements, the proposal consists of 102 multifamily units with a maximum height of 4 floors, which is seen in the attachments on your computer. No other uses are permitted. There's
It's 102 units?
102 is the request.
I thought you said 212 earlier.
No, I'm glad I didn't say 212.
I've been sitting here thinking about that the whole time.
No, it's 102, yes, sir. There's a 50-foot setback from the roadways. Parking will be per City of Leesburg code requirements. There are design and architectural standards required. Those are shown in the exhibits. There is a dark sky lighting component required. 35% of the property must be an open space. 25-foot buffer required along the entirety of the property boundaries. There is a requirement for a wrought iron or brick with stone column type fence. Again, I believe there's a photo or a design example of that in the exhibits. There's a requirement for Bahia or Bermuda grass in place of St. Augustine, 2 main access points, one on Lee Street and then one on Herndon, which would be on the east and the south. And then there's a signage requirement for decorative entry features of concrete, brick, or stucco with a maximum height of 5 feet. There's a requirement for recreational considerations of 10,000 square feet that would be devoted to a separate recreational area or areas set aside for a swimming pool, playgrounds, dog park, gazebo, those types of uses. There's also a requirement for a monument memorializing the Lee School, which we had talked about previously. I know we talked about it with the Historic Preservation Board, and I think this commission may have seen that in a previous PUD. We did keep that in there. And then finally, there is the standard phasing clause, which requires that development either move forward with substantial commencement within 4 years, or it will be treated as an RE1 zoning, which is 1 acre per unit, which in this case would get you about 5 units. So there is a timeline on it. It does have to be on city water and wastewater and utilities, and those are all in the area. So with that, Mr. Chairman, unless there are any questions, Mr. Michael Rankin of Land Planning Group of Mount Dora is here to represent the case and answer any additional questions you may have, sir.
Any questions of staff?
I got a question. You were saying that if development does not show up in 4 years, it'll be when?
It will be treated under the terms of this PUD, and we started doing this in 2024, if you may recall, Commissioner. If a property has a PUD zoning on it, and it does not move forward within 4 years with what we consider substantial commencement, getting a site plan or building permit approved, then the property is automatically treated under the terms of the RE1, which is a state density residential zoning district. What RE1, that estate density residential zoning district, says is you can have 1 acre per unit, not 1 unit per acre. You have to switch the words around, which is kind of tricky, but you have to have 1 acre before you can put 1 unit on it, and then you have to get another acre to put another unit on it. So what that does, at the request of the City Commission, is where that came about. And what that does is says you will either build it or it will be restricted. And so that puts, in some cases, quite a bit of pressure to either do it, or it's going to have to come back for a zoning, or you can just build 1 house per acre. It really sets up a scenario, and staff really appreciates this requirement, because what it does is sets up a scenario of don't waste our time.
And clean it up.
Yeah.
Either do it or go away.
And the caveat there, they got to come back.
If that 4 years goes by and they don't want to do the 1 acre, then they have to come back and do this whole thing again. Yes, sir. And the commission, Planning Commission, City Commission, would then have the right to say, no, we like the RE1, or we want to give you a new PUD.
Probably tougher if I'm still on here.
Yeah, me too, because that's the caveat.
Yes, sir.
I'll be saying no.
And I think that is partly a reaction to the number of units and things that have gone through the process here in Leesburg, that the City Commission has said, okay, you either do it or don't bother us. And I don't mean to speak for them or for this commission, but that's the idea that I feel it's coming back to.
Anything else of staff?
You said, well, he probably doesn't say, he said how many, mowers?
4.
Please state your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. For the record, Michael Rankin with Land Planning Group, 1162 Camp Avenue, Mount Dora. Also a proud business owner in the city of Leesburg on Main Street with my wife. I'm here representing the applicant Barry Mansfield regarding Lee School. With me tonight is Tim Cantrell in the back and Rick Killian. Rick, if you just wave real quick. Yeah. Rick's with Beacon College. And if I need to step away because of my throat. I'm overcoming this RSV. I'm not contagious. I'm fine, but the bonus to my family was I lost my voice for a week, so they were very happy over the holidays for that. This site for me goes back 11 years. Dan and I spent a lot of time when I first came on board and had the honor to work for this city of redeveloping this site. We've seen it metamorphose from one thing to another over the years, and the city has patiently awaited for something to finally happen to Lee School. You know, there was a time we thought preserving the buildings, a lot of time and effort went into that by several different folks that walked away saying we just can't overcome the current code requirements to upgrading the buildings with something as simple as the treads and risers and the stairwells that would have to be rebuilt. It just went on. And unfortunately, when the buildings were acquired, they died a slow death before that by having the utilities cut. And I think we all know once you cut utilities to a building, it just slowly dies to a point to where it just can't come out of the ground, back out of the ground. So it is what it is. We have a pad-ready site there. I'm the guy that stood in front of the historic board asking for them to support demoing the buildings. I'm the guy that filled out the permit asking for the buildings to come down, and they did come down. Very tough for a lot of us in this city. I've only been here 11 years. Very tough for a lot of people, though, to see these two buildings come down. I get that. Last thing I want to do is see a building of significant age be tore down. I live in a 100-year-old house that I've painfully beat on for the last 7 years to bring it back to life. So I get all that. And the city has, in my opinion, with the city manager and the planning department, have done a great job in extending flexibility of how do we together solve this problem and develop something this city can be proud of. I mentioned Rick being in the audience, and Dan mentioned the same thing. We have been talking with Beacon for quite some time of the potential of Beacon somehow participating in this project. And we had to make that assumption based on parking and how this was going to lay out. And I'll let Rick expand upon that further if necessary. But we are, at this point, working to potentially have Beacon use some of this facility or possibly the majority of the facility. So we're quite excited about that. As Dan rolled out the PD, which we agreed to, we spent a lot of time assuring that parking would be maintained inside the property. We do not nor expect any relief for parking outside of this property. So on the surface streets, there's no parking. We've not credited ourselves for any of that parking. Parking is internal. And you'll see we did add some amenities. We did our very best to, as we call, prettying up the place. And Candy was very helpful in helping us develop a walkable environment that we want to see downtown. Again, being a business owner downtown, love to see more people live downtown and walk to the shops and walk to the eateries rather than having to get in their car and drive. And we think this is the kind of product that brings that. So I won't hammer you on any more comments. We fully support the PUD that's in front of you. We ask for you to support the city staff's recommendations so we can quickly get this to City Commission and we can rapidly get to the point of building this project. We did hold a community meeting. We have spent a great deal of time talking to anybody and everybody in this community about Lee School. And, you know, there was a group out there called the Sons of the Pioneers many years ago. And everybody has a cowboy hat will tell you, oh, yeah, I used to sing with them. Well, Roy Rogers, if he were alive, will tell you there were only 7 people that sang with the Sons of the Pioneers. So it's amazing how many people will tell you, yeah, I went to school there. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you're younger than me, so I'm not so sure you might have gone there. But, you know, that's okay. So, you know, a lot of dynamic, a lot of emotion to this location. But at the end of the day, we got the buildings down. We stabilized the area when it came to people utilizing the buildings. As Tim Cantrell can tell you, over 300 trespass issues. We've solved that problem as well. So I'm asking on behalf of the owner that you approve this PUD so, again, we can move this project on. I'll yield my comments if you have any questions.
Question, if you may.
Yes, you may. Thank you for asking.
You said you had a community meeting.
Yes, sir.
When was this?
It was prior to Christmas. Tim, you remember the date? Yeah, we posted it, put signs up. Yeah.
Okay, missed that.
So did the church. Yeah, and I got a phone
A lot of
call.
people there are very concerned about it, so I was just wondering where the sign was posted.
They were posted, and I went up there. You know, it's amazing that it seemed like the wind would blow in different direction because almost every day I had to go up and put the signs back up. So
Okay, because
I
they've
found
been
them.
asking me about that.
It was posted. I've got pictures to show it. It was posted in 2 different locations at the ingress and egress of the car park.
Thank you. John?
I'm trying to get my bearings here on this site plan.
Herndon South.
Okay.
Line is north.
Line is going east to west on top, is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the church is bottom
Okay.
right.
It's over
Top
here
right.
near that gray box on the right.
Yeah, that's what, over here. Herndon? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got
yeah.
you. Perkins Lee, I got it now, okay. But that's, okay.
Well, let him finish his
finished?
thought.
So you just want to make sure the church is over here.
Correct. It's right here.
Okay,
It's right here.
Not,
okay. This is on Lee Street.
Any other questions? We're having a little.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just due to the rendering on here, what's the proposed parking space quantity?
Dan, do you have it? I can't see it in the PUD from here.
It's 100 and, I believe it was 167, but they, if that's the correct number that I can read here, if it serves to memory, they were drawn in here at 10 by 20. And part of the PUD, which we had talked about a long time ago, was that we were going to reduce some of the parking space, we were going to reduce the parking space sizes slightly from 10 by 20 to 9.5 by 18. That's pretty common in apartment type uses. So they're going to squeeze some extra ones. They're going to be able to squeeze some extra ones out of there. Just 9.5 for every 100 feet, you get another space.
So
I think that's right.
No, I was just going to try to sum it up so we can move. So it's 162, did you say?
I believe it was 167, and I apologize, I had it written down.
I think
that
it is,
didn't bring-
Dan.
But does that sound right?
Yes, sir.
So it looks like there's 7 handicap spaces.
Mhm.
Okay, so projected units, 102?
Yes, sir.
So 1.6 parking spaces per unit.
Yes, sir.
What's our average household
The,
size?
the actual requirement in the code for 1 and 2 bedroom is 1.5
Okay.
spaces. So it's over, and it's, you know, you would think 2 bedroom, 2 spaces.
Yeah.
I understand that, but yeah, the code has been that, and we haven't had any problems, strange as it seems.
Just
We honestly
no
haven't.
overflow parking, no street parking, et cetera, and having 1.6 spaces for a working family.
It'll end up being closer to 1.7, 1.8, I think, when they squeeze a few more in, but yes, sir, that's the actual number that the code requires, so they're slightly over at this point.
Mike, I'm looking at this footprint that we have here,
Yes, sir.
and I'm just wondering how people, the only way they get into the apartment is to park their car and walk into the building, correct? There's no portico or no drive-through where they can let people off in the rain or anything of that nature?
With this comp plan, yes.
So if you're over here, you got a long ways to walk in the rain to get into your house.
And respectfully, no different than any other development of this
Yeah, most of
nature.
Most apartments are that way.
Well, unless you do it, design it differently.
I'm not
That's
an
all I'm
architect. I'm not an architect. You know, but I do have to tell you a funny story about parking, if I could, Mr. Chair. When we fenced up the property, I caught heck over the fence going up. And I had people calling me upset that we were blocking their parking. And I'm going, wait a minute, we blocked the parking to Lee School. And it turned out that, well, no, I park there because I go to church across the street.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's private property, and we're trying to develop it, and we got the fence up. It was just funny, the calls I got from people upset that we put the fence around there.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, we do have some facades. Dan, if you don't mind showing those, so you can see we did take the time to make sure we have some historic significance to the buildings. I wanted to show the buildings real quick.
And the designs did go through the historic
Yes.
preservation board. Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know, there are several architectural features on this building, and we wanted to make sure that was the case.
I've got a question. Mike,
Go ahead.
has it been presented to Historic Preservation Board yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what was their decision or their recommendation?
I believe it's 5-0 unanimous.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Well, I like the idea of the brick and the kind of the replication of the old Lee School. Could you get the same kind of density with maybe a bigger footprint, but with a 3-story building?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're only doing 35% green area. It's usually more than that.
Okay.
That was one of mine. That kind of stuck out to me.
That's the minimum. It can be over, but yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I got to tell you guys, we skinned this cat every which way we could to fit this on here, fully knowing the community's take on this project. So any place I go, Publix, wherever I go, I grab ice cream because I can tell my ice cream's melting when they're bending my ear over the Lee School project. But
Mike,
All right,
could you comment on the
ahead.
meeting that you had with some of the folks that
Sure.
you had these pre-meeting?
most of them were phone calls.
Yeah.
Most of them were in opposition to the project until we walked them through to what we were trying to accomplish versus what was currently sitting there. And at the end of the day, most of the conversations were do something with the property. Get those buildings tore down if you're going to tear them down and get something built, but do something with the property. That was the loudest outcry of the majority of people was do something with the existing buildings.
Well, they're already torn down, so.
Well, those comments were prior to the demolition of the building. Did you have a meeting since the demo?
Yes, sir. We had a posted meeting. We posted it on both ingress, egress of the parking lot. Ted, they were posted. I know you're shaking your head, but they were posted.
Yeah, we're not going to argue whether they're up or not.
Yeah,
I mean,
I just was
I
curious
got
what.
pictures that they were up, guys.
we could sit here all day and do that.
And Mr. Chairman, but a
Yes.
lot of people at the church wanted to go to that meeting.
I understand that,
Okay,
but
but if the sign's put up and it blows away,
But Mr. Bowersox,
arguing
that sign
about
was
here
put up
does not do
Saturday
anything
before
before
the
the
church
day.
service,
Is my
right
point.
across from the church. It was sitting there
you made your point, and
next to my
I
truck.
appreciate it. Okay, is that it?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask one more question in regards to the
That's it.
project directly? And I know that we went over this in previous meetings with previous plans and stuff. Do we feel like we've had adequate studies done on the existing infrastructure to carry an additional 150 households?
Yes, sir. Basically, part of the zoning review process that we've done through here, and done it 3 times in the last 8 years, I think, that's part of what the departments are charged with doing. So water, wastewater, electric, gas, every department and utility that could be involved is given this project, and they know the number of units, size of the building, everything else, and they're charged with, if there's a problem, then now's your opportunity to let us know. And we've got nothing back.
So no comment, meaning that there doesn't need to be any improvements to the
Correct.
infrastructure outside that?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Cool. Anything else?
Are we gonna ask for, Deacon and speak?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for everybody to quit asking questions. Okay, Mr. Killian? Please state your name and your address, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Richard Killian. I'm the Vice President for Advancement at Beacon College, 105 East Main Street here in Leesburg. Speaking in support of the project, we were very impressed with the design. some of my colleagues went up and I believe Ocala and looked at a similar design which the developer built to check it out to see how it would look and how it would feel, and something that was of great interest to us. We have 465 students that reside on our campus. We have a subset of probably maybe 40 to 45 that live off campus. Some in the downtown, some in various parts of the city. We always get calls from parents for off-campus housing. When we learned of this development, when we saw the design, we are very interested in it, and it's something that we would see ourselves partaking of.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have a question. So with this, in regards to, I know that Beacon is looking to expand. Does this have any effect of having these apartments on expansion, or do you know like the percentage that you would participate in, the rentals, et cetera?
We're looking right now at how and if we can expand. Our students have learning and attention issues. We teach differently because they learn differently. Mm-hmm. So for our faculty and staff count, to give you a basis of estimate, is close to 200 people for a student population of 500 to 515. That's very heavy, and that's abnormal in terms of a complement. I just raised that. So for us to raise our student population, it has a ripple effect on everything we do, not just housing and not just dining, but also our faculty and staff. So for us to look at any expansion, there's a strong element of gravity to it that we have to really look at. We're in the process of just starting now our 2030 strategic plan. So what that number actually is going to be is going to come out of that. Having said that, ma'am, housing is an issue to that because you can't wave a magic wand to kind of build housing, So for us, that's as an institution, this would be something we'd be very interested in to support any growth. But I would also say too, and I can't give you a specific number, we had an incident level today on our parents have their own Facebook page. We have a student today, we had a parent today from out of state asking if there were any off-campus housing, So there is a strong demand besides us as an institution, the students and parents of our institution as well. To maybe answer your question a little bit more specific without numbers, this facility would probably be a half mile from our campus. Mm-hmm. That would be something that would be very advantageous for us, which is why we went up to Ocala to look at the existing designs. So it is something we're very interested in. For what and how that translates into a student count, that's something that's going to take some time for us to look at.
Okay, thank you.
No, thank you for your question.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you for. I thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you.
I do want to remind you, though, when you make your decision one way or the other, that you have to think of it as Beacon not being there, because it's open for anybody.
Right.
Is what they're doing. So you don't want to give special disposition, for.
It's not
for
being
that.
built for Beacon.
Right. So keep that in mind.
Mr. Chair, if I could inject.
Beacon being a part of it.
Well, they're going to rent from them, maybe.
Yeah.
It's still a
I'm just saying, but knowing that there's an interest there, because I have seen apartment buildings that Beacon are a part of, and they like secure places. They like their places to look nice. And so I've seen firsthand apartment complex that Beacon is a part of that looks, I'm glad they're there.
Oh, I agree.
It's
I agree.
secure.
But
So,
I just want to make sure you don't look at it as Beacon's property, you know?
No, I know that. That's why I said what percentage would they participate in? That's what I wanted to know. How much of it were they going to participate in? Because I know that if they are truly interested in that there's going to be some. We know that it's not going to look cruddy. It's not going to look crummy in a few years. It's probably going to be secure, because those are the things that they require for their students to be housed in. So I'm going to be honest, I'm going to keep that in mind if I know that they're going to participate.
If they do.
If they participate.
One more comment, sir, if you wouldn't mind. It's our strong desire to work with Beacon. Both sides are working.
Right, yeah, I think it'd be great
In
if you
fact,
did.
all three sides are working, the city, Beacon, and this development.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
being,
Yeah.
you know, open.
Yep.
That, you know, it might be 100% somebody else.
Yep.
Let me ask.
And I do want to make sure you understand these are market rate apartments. These are not low income. I get asked that almost every day.
Yeah.
Are these low income? No, they're market rate, and that means what the market will
Is
yield.
going for,
They're
yeah.
market rate.
I want to ask the city attorney, there's no way that we can put the stipulation in there that Beacon's going to be a part of that, is it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I just wanted to
I
check.
won't. That's not fair to the developer.
No, but they're coming to us with that, so they want us to consider that. So
Okay.
I'm just saying, if that's what you want to do, you want favorable outcome, then you're gonna. Okay.
I've got a question for Dan, I think, and perhaps Mike as well. What is the city's code on multiple family zoning density per acre?
It depends on the future land use.
Because this one turns out to be about 22 units per acre.
That's correct. And it, depending on the future land use, it can go up to 25 as the highest, which is the downtown area.
Okay.
Which, Dan, we call that with
Average
the bonus
has been
density.
12, and 18 seems to be the peak, but that's allowed.
Yeah, we had a bonus density program.
Right.
Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your consideration.
Anybody from the audience wish to speak? Okay, were you all sworn in? Okay, come forward, please.
She wasn't.
You in the green, you weren't sworn in, were you?
I might have gotten confused. Can I swear in now or no?
Yeah, I don't like doing it over and over again, but yeah.
There is a couple others that may have.
Does anybody
walked
else
in
need
late,
to be
too.
sworn in? Okay, please stand if you're to speak today on either case, you have to be sworn in to speak.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. All right, whichever one wants to go first, give your name and your address, please.
My name is Nikki Rolone, and my address is 1100 Herndon Street. So I live right next door to the property that we're discussing, and I have significant concerns about what's going to be built there. A 4-story building with 102 units is going to be bringing a lot of people, a lot of traffic to that neighborhood, and I don't feel that that is going to be the best use of the property for the neighborhood and the people that currently live there. It's a beautiful historic neighborhood. A lot of people who live there are very proud of their homes, and I feel that building a 4-story apartment building is not going to improve the sightline or the feel of the neighborhood. The space right now is used by a lot of people as a green space. They bring their dogs, their children. I live right next door. I see people there all the time. I understand that something needs to be built there. It can't be left the way that it is, but I don't think that what's being proposed is going to be the best for the neighborhood. I think that developing more for the downtown area is a great idea, but I think perhaps reconsidering the sight lines and the feel of what's going to be built there is very important and important to the people who live in that neighborhood. I did not see the signs that were posted about the community meeting, or I would have attended that as well. But I do have significant concerns about what this is going to do to the neighborhood. And as somebody who lives there, I just want to bring that to the attention of the commissioners, so that it's something that you're thinking about when you're thinking about what you're approving to be built in that area. I know that this is a discussion that has been going on for many years for you guys. I just moved to my house about 3 months ago. So I am new to the area, but it doesn't mean that I feel any less passionate about how the area should be developed and how it should look for the people who live there. And I just want that to be something that is considered when you guys are thinking about approving a plan of what's going to be built there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please give your name and address.
Hello, my name is Kelly Rolone. My address is 11029 Riverside Road.
Riverside Road?
Riverside Road, yes. I'm actually very new to Lake County. I am born and raised in Miami-Dade County, and I have, over my 30 years of living, watched it develop from what is very much like Leesburg to a metropolitan type area. I have watched buildings such as apartments, duplexes, townhomes build up on the sightline, and watch property values go from $700,000 to $600,000 because of apartments and such being built near their area. I've also watched the traffic reports from driving there and living there my whole life go from being regular traffic every day to accidents on the road constantly to also the traffic going to. Here in Lake County, a 15-minute drive, I can go 30 miles, crazy far. In Miami-Dade County, because we have so many apartment buildings and so many people, your 15-minute drive will take you 10 miles. With apartment buildings like this and such, it will cause traffic. It will cause very much congestion everywhere. If you do not have proper infrastructure or transportation to support these people, assuming that the 102 apartments can support 4 bodies in it, this is, what's 102 times? This will be close to 400 people moving into a 5-acre area. So I just hope you county commissioners are prepared to be bumping shoulders with people, because that is what's going to happen to downtown Leesburg. I do have a proposition. I unfortunately am not a county commissioner of a sort, city planner or anything. I do think if the zoning could be developed for a park, recreational facility, like Parks and Recs, a dog park, a skate park, anything of that sort, even a nature preserve, would help bring traffic to the city as you guys want to help develop, forgive me, I'm missing the word, but business, there we go. Yes, business. It'll help you bring business, as I've heard several people in the audience and several people on the board talk about their dogs, actually. A dog park as well would help bring business. But yes, I just also wanted to give my opinion on how it is being in a very busy city versus here. So thank you.
Thank you. Give your name and address, please.
Gregory Alexander, address is 1003 Herndon Street. So yeah, I actually am in one of the photos that Miss Harper showed, actually right across the street from the property. And we spent a lot of time and money getting that property to be what it is today, and it's still getting better. It's historic, it's old, we're trying to take care of it. When it comes to overall development in the area, I think being able to make this area commercial in order to help, or I forget what the exact zoning is that you guys are doing, but I think it will help the city in general. I'm not fully opposed to developing this, but my biggest concerns, oh, and side note, I actually was there for the meeting. I don't know why nobody's mentioning it, but I did show up there. I saw the sign when I was walking my dogs, and I don't know how long I had been there, but I happened to see it, and I walked in, and I wrote some notes as well, and they sent me an email. So it did happen. But my biggest concern after speaking with Mr. Cantrell and the other gentleman there was really more so about the imposing structure itself. Like it really on Line Street, that road is super narrow. It's not a normal width road. And although the structure is going to be closer to that north side, which is better for me because I'm on the south side, it being 4 stories, which I don't know what that translates into with height, it seems like it's going to be one of the tallest structures in downtown Leesburg. And, again, I don't live on that street, but I can only imagine like people who are living on that street having these windows like looking down on them. I just think it's going to be a little large. So my thoughts were, why is it that we need to have 102 units? Why does it need to be 4 stories? Can the density be lowered just a smaller amount, like one of you said, and spread out a little more? That's one of my bigger concerns. But additionally, too, if it were to move forward, they mentioned Beacon College, as Ms. Carter was saying too. I mean, we walk all throughout the trail, all around downtown. Beacon College is great. The kids are great. It would be awesome to have them across the street. I know they'd be great neighbors, but there's no guarantee that that would happen. And my fear is that I know that they're saying that it won't become low income. My fear is that this property, there's no fail safe to keep it from becoming that. If this changes hands or gets sold, I mean, developments get sold all the time. It's a multifamily, and people are trying to make the most money they can out of a multifamily. So, I have general concerns out of what can be expected out of the structure. Also, too, when I was speaking with the gentleman, they showed me the structure in Ocala, the sister property. I know you have the renderings there, which I think the brick renderings, like a more northern, is beautiful.
Time.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Got it. Well, I was going to say it didn't look like that.
Right.
The other one I saw doesn't look quite like that at all. So, just saying.
I got to say, you got a fantastic voice.
Oh, thanks.
I was an audio engineer, so I just kept listening to your voice. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, you cut him off.
I didn't want to. Is there anybody else to speak? Mike, would you like to, you get a rebuttal or whatever?
Very quickly.
Thank you.
The gentleman's correct. They do not look like the ones in Ocala because this is designed to look, as you see, Lee School. We wanted it to resemble Lee School. The brick, the concrete around the windows, the architectural features. So he is correct. If you run up to Ocala, you're going to go, this isn't the same project. It is inside, but outside, this is what we want it to look like the Lee School. And the other one is, I'm going to leave here and go check the fence because we've got that property fenced. So if people are walking their dogs and all that with the fencing and the no trespassing, I got a problem with that. So,
How many stories was Lee School?
3.
Ma'am, Mr. Chairman, Lee School was actually 2 floors, but it had very high ceilings, so it had the same impact as a 3-floor. It was the same height as a 3-story building.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And being in there a number of times, off and on for the past several years, it had some, it is built just like the school I went to high school in many, many years ago, but the ceilings were very high, even higher than I think this room here. So yes, it was a 2-floor building, but the architectural impact was actually a 3-floor building.
So did y'all, you and the planners discuss with them a 3-story building?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I guess, and they're showing us a 4.
Well,
It would.
the rendering up here in the bottom shows a 3-story building, and then the next one above is a 4-story building. I think that's a little deceptive, Mike.
those are examples of what the facade would look like. I respectfully disagree.
The partial answer to your question was, the Lee School had the first floor, you walked up about 8 or 10 feet to get to the first level.
Right.
It had basements.
Yeah, so it
So it
wasn't even
appeared
on
to be
ground
about
level.
a 3-story structure. So that's the reason this is still higher than that would be, probably by about 10 feet.
Yeah, y'all couldn't
Yes.
come back with a 3-story?
No, ma'am.
So the first floor wasn't ground level?
Yeah. And I wasn't going to do this, but we have looked at this thing over and over.
So have we.
I'm ready to move on with Lee School no matter what it is. I've got a lot of time into it, caught a lot of heck over it, quite frankly. But I'd do it all over again to get us to a point where we can get something built there that Beacon could utilize and some of our folks in the community that want to live downtown.
Okay.
So it is what it is. The market drives that, the cost of development. I've had a lot of people tell me, hey, put a park there. Well, that's a great idea. They can go
Yeah, if
talk
you
to the
bought
city
it.
about buying the property and they can put a park there, or respectfully, you all buy it and put a park in there yourself. So the gentleman's in it to make money in development and not build a park for the community. Again, respectfully stated.
Yeah, I understand. My feelings on it though is you're going to put something there that's larger than what, Dan, can you tell us what the highest, the floor is in downtown?
Your bank building.
It's
Right, I believe it's 6 floors downtown is the highest we have right now. The
Okay.
USB bank.
the USB bank. Yeah, but that's surrounded by more businesses and not,
It is the tallest one.
right.
Right.
But that's not, that's my only concern is that you are putting, the 4 stories in the middle of a neighborhood.
And that's why we went to the extent to make sure we could make it look as much like Lee School as possible.
Yeah, but who wants to look up and look at another whole story instead of yeah, I'm good for my comment on that one.
Anything else? Any other questions? Thank you. We're going to close to, oh, sorry.
Not for him, you can close.
Okay, we're going to close the public, and I'll open for discussion within our group. Go ahead.
My question is, Mr. Miller, I pay attention to words. So is this, it says wanted to be an ordinance of the city of Leesburg rezoning approximate 4.87 acres from small plan unit development to small plan unit development?
Yes, sir.
I'm-
Okay, I can explain that.
Okay.
Every PUD zoning has a customized set of conditions. So a PUD on one piece of property is not necessarily the same as a PUD on the other. We have our standard zoning districts, you have the residential, the commercial, industrial, and those set standards within those district requirements. But a PUD is something that the staff writes, looking at the property, the surrounding property, the conditions, what the request is, and many times it comes in as a higher number than what gets presented here. So it's negotiated out individually. And in order to know what a PUD says, you have to go look up the actual PUD document.
Each individual PUD is its own zoning
Yes.
classification.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any other discussions?
Among the commissioners?
I'm sorry?
Among us, you mean?
Yeah, we're done out there. They're not there anymore.
Yeah.
Were you going to ask something?
Well, I know the developers have probably gone over the site plan hours and hours and hours. The impact for the folks on the north side, we're only 50 feet away from the side of the road. And how high is a 4-story building?
You'd know more than me, probably 48.
What is it? What is the height
The
of
maximum
building?
height within the PUD is 55 feet.
Okay.
And 4 stories usually will come out in the 40s. What we're throwing in there is a little bit of room if there's some mechanical equipment or something like that that's
Yeah.
pushed back, and that has to be hidden by parapets or walls or something. Within the PUD, that's a requirement.
So that's, if we approve this, are we approving the site plan or just the density?
Conceptually.
Conceptually.
Conceptually, you're approving the site plan. All site plans are conceptual, even through the full zoning phase, because there are times when the engineers get out on the site and there could be problems with the soil, and so they have to shift things around. Things of that nature do happen.
Yeah,
So
I just was kind of looking at the site plan and imagining if that entire structure were to be moved southward, 20 feet or so, whatever. I mean,
That's a good suggestion.
the pool can come further south. The other 2 outbuildings, I'm not sure what they are, could be moved further south. So more of the green area becomes north.
It's a playground and dog park.
Of the building itself. Of course, ideally, The numbers probably don't work, but ideally, a three-story building would be much more acceptable to me.
Again, repeat, you want to go which way?
South.
South, meaning.
Bring this building down. Right.
It'd come this way 20 or 30 feet. It's still going to be a large structure. Or have a bigger footprint of the building with the three-story and get the same density. If you could do that or get close to the same density. Obviously, I'd like the idea of something happening there. I like the idea of kind of architecturally to try to resemble the old school. But I think these ideas, y'all probably already thought of every one of them, probably 100 times, but I'm just throwing them out as another thought. So.
No, I value that. I think I agree with what you were saying. I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask, with it being 4 stories, the green space, are they over on their green space? Are they at the minimum?
It varies. Right now, they're fine on the green space requirement. Moving the building I'm looking at it based on Commissioner O'Kelly's comment, and moving the building and pulling the pool and the playgrounds to the south 20 feet may not be a big deal at all.
Yeah, it won't change the green space.
That won't change the green space.
I like that idea.
If there's a way to bring, it's going to be about 50, I guess it'd be 51 per floor. Excuse me, not 51 per floor. 25, 26 per floor, give or take.
25.
And if there's, something like that. If there's a way for the applicant to respond to the possibility of that, I can't speak for the applicant. Staff does not have a problem with the request. We do want to keep the 35% green space, but I'm sure that City Commission is going to be very intent on keeping that. It's probably quite doable.
Yeah.
But I'm not an engineer and not a site designer.
So if they made it three-story and designed it with a little bit bigger footprint, is Mike not here?
You have to go to Fruitland Park.
Oh,
He had to go to Freeland Park? Okay.
You gotta be there.
okay. You could get 100 units on three floors. That's 33 apartments per floor. You're just about meeting the goal. If you can make that work with the green area requirement, water retention area requirement, parking requirement, and try to set that building to the south a little bit. I mean, it's just a thought.
I'm comfortable approving this with you speaking with the staff and everything of possibly doing the things we're bringing up.
Okay.
But I'm willing to approve what it is, but I would surely like to see that or at least come down, which is real easy from what I can see.
And
if we approve this, Tim, we're approving 4 stories.
Right, well, I understand that.
Yeah.
But the representative's not here anymore.
I
he had to
know,
go.
that's- I
Yeah.
wish-
Had to
Not our
go
fault.
rush to another meeting.
Can I make a comment or go to Steve?
Yes, you
Okay, so, if we go from 4 to 3, just speaking numbers, right? We're talking about increasing the footprint 20 to 25% of the overall, right? We're gonna take a floor, we're gonna smash it down, we're gonna increase it by 20, 25%. The outbuildings, air handler units, things like that we're gonna have outside that are gonna be screen walled around this is gonna impede on the green space, so either you stick it on top of the building or stick it outside the building. Right, so now we're increasing even more additional screen walls, additional footprint. So if you stick it on top of the building, you're looking at a 4-story building because you have screen walls.
Yeah.
Or you increase the overall footprint even larger. Or you have louvered walls, et cetera, for fresh air intake. Or you pack units. I mean, there's a lot of different things, but we're just looking at square footage, right? That's the main concern with this conversation, so.
There are so many options with that.
Yeah.
That we need to have a designer who is fluent in the computer programs to kind of dance around with this a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm happy to do whatever the commission asks us to do.
Like I said, I was just making a statement of my point, is I'm willing to accept this.
I actually like it.
And if it can be changed in committee or whatever, that's even better. But I'm willing to take this. That's what I was trying to say.
We understand that.
Okay.
Okay.
But if we approve this, then like you said, we're approving 4
Right.
floors, and they have no obligation.
And that's what I said. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I'm saying they have no further obligation to do that.
True.
My concern is with the neighbors who are going to live there. That's a big building for them to be looking at. And if they want to work on that building, we still got to be friendly to everybody around it. Here's our opportunity to not do what, like some of the people said, not just stick stuff anywhere. So I would like to see them bring it down. I think it would be best for the neighborhood, the surrounding buildings, because 4 stories is a lot among single and 2-story homes.
Does anybody have anything new to bring up or talk about? If not, I'll open it up for a motion.
Well, I got one more question. Can we? Never mind.
I have one.
Don't come in after the fact and want to start again. You do that every month.
Can we approve the density number of 102?
102.
Based upon their ability to create a 3-story structure doing that?
You can make whatever
The
motion
city
you like.
says-
That's what I was trying to say.
The attorney said yes, we
I'd
can do
also
that.
like to mention that this still is a historic district of Leesburg. It's not like we're we're putting this in an orange grove where nobody else is being affected.
Right.
But it's affected the character of our community.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with what you're saying about 3-story. I agree with what John is saying about 3-story, and if they could expand the footprint a little bit. I know it's all about money, but it has also to do with the neighborhood.
Exactly.
And with the people that I worship with, that I'm still upset that we didn't get a personal notice about that meeting, because I know that 50 to 100 people would have shown up for it.
All right, let's move forward.
Okay.
Can I ask
Is there yeah, go ahead.
a code question? Simple. The 55 feet, is that tip of gable or is that roof line?
Generally, what we're talking about there is the very top part of the structure, is what we mean by that, and that's in this particular case.
Okay, so you'll get 10-foot floors okay.
Cool. All right. Open for a motion.
Do your motion, John.
I did like the way you worded that.
Yeah, I did too.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a density of an apartment complex of 102 units, providing the site plan and design can be done with a 3-story structure.
I would like to second that motion.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Sanders,
Yes.
Commissioner Ackerman,
No.
Commissioner Bowersox,
No.
Commissioner Sennett,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Done.
And I'd like to ask the city to monitor the parking on the street, because people park both directions, and that's against the law. Turning in their own direction all the time.
So, Mr. Chairman, may I
I
do a
remember my
quick?
dad getting a ticket for that one.
A quick summary will be that when this goes to City Commission, it will come with a recommendation from the Planning Commission, 102 units, reduced size to 3 floors. All other conditions remain intact.
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay.
Right along.
Public hearing case CUP 24-388, Montclair duplexes, conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request for a conditional use permit to allow for 3 new duplex units on approximately 1 acre of land. The property is generally located south of Montclair Road and east of North Lone Oak Drive. I would like to go ahead and ask Ms. Melissa Metters de los Santos, a planner with the office,
You said that pretty cool.
to present the maps and photo exhibits, including the aerial zoning, future and surrounding land use, wetlands, flood zone maps, and CRA maps.
Good evening, Commissioners. Chairman. As you can see, the extended aerial shows the subject property south of Montclair Road, west of this is supposed to be east of North Lone Oak Drive, and north of West Main Street. The aerial map shows it zoomed in, and it shows it south of Montclair and east of North Lone Oak Drive. The zoning map shows the subject property is zoned as R3 high-density residential to the east and west, M1 industrial to the north, P public to the west, and C1 neighborhood commercial to the south. The future land use map shows the subject property has an FLU of low-density residential with a low density to the east and west, industrial to the north, high density to the east, general commercial to the south, and institutional to the west. This map shows the proposed conditional use overlay. And the surrounding land uses are office, single-family residential, and vacant industrial and residential to the north, vacant residential, multifamily residential, and single-family residential to the east and west, place of worship to the east, and nonprofit to the south. This map shows that the subject property does not have any flood zones or wetlands. The Community Redevelopment Agency map shows the subject property is near the Carver Heights CRA. The Commission District is 2. And signs were posted. And the first one shows a close-up of a sign on subject property off of Sleepy Hollow Road. Sorry, this should not be Sleepy Hollow. It should be Montclair. This bottom one shows looking north across Montclair Road from subject property. The next one shows looking east along Montclair Road from subject property. The bottom shows looking south across Montclair Road onto subject property. And the final one shows looking west along Montclair Road from subject property. And that is all I have,
Thank
Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Melissa. With that, we move on to the departmental review summary. Project was sent out to all city departments and Lake County Government and School Board. The electric department decided that they will need easements, which is a standard comment. Otherwise, there were no substantive comments from the city departments. The school board did state that the project will be subject to school concurrency review. Now, since it's only 3 duplexes, which equals out to 6 individual units, that will mean either direct payment of the impact fees at building permit time, or if they want to get with the school board and work out some type of proportionate share mitigation agreement, which would be very small. I'm not sure they'd want to do that, go to that much trouble. Lake County Public Works had no comments, and public responses, project per statute and city code. Notice requirements was advertised, posted, and letter sent out to the surrounding property owners. We did receive one public response and a meeting with Mr. Mike, I forget his last name. Yes, and we Melissa and I met with him. He was looking for a fence, which we added into, and his letter is in the comments, and we added that into the conditions on the conditional use permit. Under conditional use permits, the requirements for that is it's allowing for 3 villas, and a villa is a fancy way of saying duplex most of the time. On 1 acre of land, so that gives you 6 individual units. There's no other uses permitted. The front setback is 25 feet, and the proposed sizes, each building would be 2,400 square feet, which means each unit would be 1,200 square feet. So it's a decent size. 40 by 60, I believe, is each building. Minimum 2 parking spaces, off-street spaces, and the site plan is showing 3 for each unit. Fences required along the west side of the property, which would be a 6-foot privacy fence. And of course, the development has to be on city water and wastewater. There's no well or septics. And the recommendation by staff, Mr. Chairman, is for approval. And the owner of the property, Mr. Marquilo Brown, is here to answer any other questions you may have. Pretty straightforward. Staff is recommending approval. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Any questions of staff? Mr. Brown, do you have anything to add?
No, sir. I just want to thank you, Mr. Chairman and the Commissioner, for hearing about the zoning plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions of the applicant? Easy enough. I don't guess there's anybody to speak for or against, unless the city doesn't like it.
I want to apologize to Mr. Brown. We should have put him first.
Yeah. Yeah, that went a lot longer than I thought it would. We're just here to entertain you, man.
It was knowledgeable.
Yeah, we're definitely in education.
I'll probably be there a lot.
Don't bring no 4-foot buildings up in here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your patience.
Fourth story. though.
All right, we'll close to the public, and is there any discussion? If not, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve public hearing case number 24-388, Mount Clair duplexes conditional use permit.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good job.
Thank you.
Any second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ackerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowersox,
Yes.
Commissioner Sinnott,
Yes.
Commissioner Carter,
Yes.
Commissioner Marshall,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanders.
Yes.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for being here, and glad we were able to work that motion out just right.
Yes.
I think that was
You
it.
think that's good?
I like that. I do.
I actually like the project by itself, so, that's another.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, before you, may I interrupt the motion?
Out of order.
I apologize, Mr. Marshall. This is our first meeting of 2025.
Correct.
And so we are due to, not tonight, but at some point in the near future, we have to go through the process of re-electing chairman and vice chairman and so forth. So we'll probably want to try that at the February or March meeting.
Right.
If that's
Yeah, let's
suits
do
the-
it for sure next time.
And the other thing I wanted to do was to let you all know that the 2045 comp plan was approved by Department, Florida Commerce. I get the name mixed up because every time there's a new governor, there's a new name, it seems like. But the State Land Planning Agency is now called Florida Commerce. And it was approved by them. We had a 30-day challenge period. Each of you will be receiving this is a full copy. I wanted to recognize my staff who did a knockout job on it, and we're really proud of it. So it'll be distributed to you very shortly before the next meeting. Probably get a call from us with a copy.
Let's hear it for staff.
Thank you, sir. And I wish they were all here, but we're very happy and appreciative of the support that this commission gave to staff and to our consultant in getting this done. Is a major milestone, we think, and we thank you very much.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
See you guys, thank you.
Third.
Ready to get back out in that cold weather, right?
Yeah.